development. We actually have a Mediumship Development Foundations one that starts this Saturday. So July the 11th, it starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time to 12 p.m. And it's online. So you can be anywhere in the world. They're all live classes. Michael and myself teach these classes. And we truly enjoy doing this. But Foundations 1, we would like people to go through 1 through 3, ideally, because that's how you get the full foundation series, so that you have a really nice solid foundation for connection and understanding. But I would say, especially Foundations 1, it's such an integral 7 weeks, because there's things that you learn about connection and what gets in the way of connection and how to make that consistent for you, that are things that you'll always come back to forever, anytime you ever want to make a connection for your mediumship.
Well, something I think that's important to also mention is that Foundations 1 has been useful to so many of our students who've been developing for like 6 years, 7 years. That's something that I hear from students all the time. It's like, I've been taking all these classes, all these courses, and yet, you know, I've never heard any of these things that you guys are talking about, any of these points that you guys are making. I've never heard of this. No one's ever talked about this. And I'm like, yeah, well, partly that's because a lot of what we teach comes directly from the spirit world. That's something that we got received from them directly. Hold on, I'm just gonna turn this little light on.
Or too, some people were saying something about some people can't afford it. Totally a fair thing, right? So we do offer scholarships for people where there's an adjustment of payments, either like schedule-wise or like an amount off. So it's not like, we really try to be accessible. And honestly, what we charge for the course, even though it may be out of budget for certain people, we give you so much. And I really mean that. I'm not trying to like sell us. I mean that truly, that if you learn with us, I'm not trying to just like raise us up here. But truly, like, if you actually learn with us, I don't really feel like you're going to ever really need to learn with other people. Not to say that you couldn't, or that you couldn't still learn things, but we teach things in a foundational sense of like mechanics that you'll always take with you forever. And those are actually the things that make connection and break connection. And so it's not a lot of like exercises just to have exercises to give you something weird to do, right? There's always a reason behind everything that we do. It's functional, and we break it down step by step because we actually understand this, right? You can't replace experience. Like so 10 years of experience, Michael, you've now had what, 20
years.
20 years of experience. You can't replace the amount of time that we've actually been doing this and working with clients, and have like the knowledge that we actually have collected overall for people that just don't have that yet. Like, I'm very straightforward. Maybe it's too straightforward sometimes, but that's just the truth.
It's real. Yara says, okay, wait, how do I know I have a chance at being a medium? I think that's a great question. I'm glad that you're asking it, largely because, and what we found is pretty much anybody can do this. Some people, it's going to come really, really naturally. Other people, it's going to take a little bit more time, but everybody gets there if you put in the time, dedication, and energy. So there is no, can I do it? It's not like what people back in the day used to say, where it was like only special people, or I was born like this, or I saw, visions of my granddad grandma in my, backyard or whatever. Like, you don't have to have any of those experiences. I didn't have any of those experiences. I had no experiences prior to becoming a medium. And as you will probably see when we do a message, you'll see that I can do it. And I didn't know that I could do it till a medium was like, you should start developing. One day you'll be doing what I'm doing. And so when I did that, I found that, wow, I actually could. But I wasn't one of those mediums who was just like magic. It was work. It was effort. It was years and years and years and years of development. And so that's what we recommend. And by years and years, I mean about 4 or 5.
Well, Thank you, Sunhope. I want to add a little bit onto that. While I think absolutely everyone can develop, and I think it can be used in many different ways, what I want to say is you don't have to want to become a psychic medium like a professional like us to benefit actually from mediumship development. A lot of people come in because they just want to know, is spirit really there? Is spirit real? Can I experience this for myself?
Oh, you said
And they are sometimes have grieving, they're grieving for losses. They want to be able to connect with their own loved ones properly, to actually know what's my mind and what's spirit, right? And so there's a lot of reasons why development is actually very positive for, I would say, most people that are just curious, even to just start to know their guides, or start to know that they can feel spirit, that they can know that that reality is real. Now, once we get through Foundations series 1 through 3, that's when we start to go more toward like people that want to maybe develop this professionally. We get into deeper things and get more into specifics around how to get more information and all of that. And so it's a structured program that we have. So it starts with Foundations 1 through 3, then it goes into 10 months of expansions, which is built upon developing your own personal development side of it, as well as your mediumship side, very strongly, very heavily. And then we go into advancing, where you actually have an opportunity to work with the public. And that's a very different experience than working with people here in the circle or in your Foundations class, because other mediums just have a little bit of a different understanding and experience that people outside of this won't have. And so you have to learn how to navigate that. And obviously a lot of people come to mediums because they have some form of grief, that they are trying to find their loved one again. They're trying to see, do they still exist? Are they still really here? Right? So we format and structure our courses in a very specific way on purpose. But also too, I think, some people, just like you have an aptitude for certain things, right? Like some people are born musically talented, but they still work at it, right? They still put in development for that. They still train for that. Someone in sports, in professional sports, they didn't just get picked up off the ground from playing basketball over here, just like that. That's it. They had to put in a ton of work into building that and getting their skill set. So we don't even refer to it as gifts at all. Yes, is it a gift to people in the world? It's a service, absolutely. But really, it's an ability. It's a skill set that you learn how to navigate and grow, really.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, which is one of our students, I had no idea I was a medium. I thought it was all coincidence until I started development. Same. Yeah, because here's the thing, like people don't realize that spirit is very subtle. They don't understand how spirit's communicating with them. And you may already be experiencing it and just not have a framework and understanding like I was. I didn't know why I knew things. I didn't know why I was experiencing things or why I felt compelled to do certain things in certain times. And it was because of spirit, but I just didn't have anyone around me that understood it. And so everyone just said, oh, it's a coincidence. I knew it wasn't, because it didn't make sense. There's no way that this thing literally dropped in my mind before it happened in that way, the exact way. So you have to sometimes be led to mediumship development, like I was also. So I also had a medium tell me, you're a medium, go develop. And I actually found Michael through that. So Michael was my original teacher. And thank God led me on a path of a very grounded understanding, a practical understanding of mediumship, because believe me, there's a lot out there that will guide you in the very wrong direction around mediumship and take you into delusion instead of the truth of spirit, which is what I was looking for.
100%.
Hey, Cody, how are you doing?
Hey, Cody. Katrina says, for me, I didn't even have profound experiences until Foundations, honestly. So her spiritual experiences were there. By the way, I'm also live on my other platforms through StreamYard. So If you see me reading comments that aren't there, that's why. It's crazy how many people said, so this is within Sarah, she said, well, it's crazy how many people said that they had these abilities, but were so overwhelmed. And because they didn't have any boundaries, they tapped out of it. She's referring to what she said earlier, which is I shared a post on psychic awakening, and it was crazy how many people reached out and shared their stories. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not having those kinds of boundaries or knowing like what to do with all of that can be very confusing, overwhelming. And it's just interesting because like Megan's over here being like, yeah, and I had this experience, and Anne-Marie's like, and I thought it was just coincidence. And I'm over here like, I had none of that shit. None of it. Zero. Not even an inkling of that. I had a devotion or an interest in God. I had an interest in spirituality. I had an interest in that sort of thing. But up until someone said, you're a medium, you need to start developing, I had no experience whatsoever of that I would call mediumistic. Yes, maybe like sort of like religious experience where you like feel, in a worship service or something like that, you feel moved or you feel touched or something like that. But I don't think I ever had anything that stood out to me like that's a thing. The only thing is I had a few dreams that I dreamt and then they came true. And so that is an example of the only thing that I really experienced that made me go, okay, yeah, I guess I'm a little psychic because I had a dream that came true a couple times, so that's it. But other than that, there was nothing else. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Laura.
Yeah. Can the people on your other platforms also see me too?
They can't see you, but they can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm a disincarnate voice. Oh, hello.
Oh, it's my spirit guide. Say something, spirit guide. Here, look, I'll do us one better. Hold up.
It's funny. I am Allegra.
Whoa, the floating trumpet. It's Megan. Speak to us, Megan. Speak from the beyond.
I hope to do that one day, actually.
What was that?
I said I hope to do that one day.
I hope to do that one day, she said.
People here have no idea why you have a trumpet because they don't know anything about.
Well, then why don't you teach them? Why don't you teach them? Yes, I killed the mosquito.
We can. Okay. Allegra said, I think a lot of mediums on TikTok do cold readings or generalizations.
That's correct.
The reason why that happens is because they haven't developed.
Yep.
They don't know what they don't know. And so, of course, there's going to be an odd few that are purposefully defrauding people, right? They're frauding people and they know that they can't do it and they are just hoping that will somehow be fine. But I think the majority of people really just think I have a sensitivity, so that's enough for me to start doing readings and charging people or just doing them in public. And it's not. It's really not. There's so much that goes into development, including learning ethics about working with people, right? And also, too, we're literally saying, hey, I'm talking to dead people. Like, you're going to need to have some pretty quality evidence to come through that's validatable for people, for them not to look at you like you're insane, right? And that's a lot of pressure to deal with. It really is. And that's a part of development of like learning how do I work through this pressure and this like knowing that the world probably thinks I'm crazy. Oh, okay, there, light. Don't know what's happening. That's never happened before.
For those of you who don't know, Megan's light decided to turn into the club. So
that's
apparently
never happened.
Never happened, but it's happening right now. To just speak on that just a little bit, it's like, I cannot tell you how many times, and it's like without fail, like maybe one, maybe two in all my years of working with students and working with people, seeing someone who went out maybe a little too early and be successful. Because when I say successful, I don't mean like earn tons of money. What I mean is by successful is have a steady quality growth in their development. What I always see is people will start to have some early success. They'll start to be like, wow, I'm getting this information, da, 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 da. And then as they kind of keep going, they invariably run into themselves. Because once we start having something to compare our previous work to, we start putting pressure on ourselves, because we'll start having things go really, really well. And they'll be like, well, that's what it's supposed to look like. How do I get back into that? And then they block themselves because now they have a ton of tension, a ton of expectations. And so these are the kinds of things that occur when you don't give yourself time to truly develop and like run into all the problems that invariably will arise when you work with the public and you do mediumship.
Yeah. And the pressure just like continues to increase. It doesn't get better if you don't actually face the things that are causing the tension within that. And how to deal with it. Like, how do I get through it? How do I work through this? What do I do to continue my connection, right? How do I deal when someone's like, no, that's not right? Like, does your ego come forward and you attack them? Or how do you continue going, right? Like, these are all a big part of development.
Oh, yeah. One of the worst things is the sitter isn't open. It's the sitter's fault. They weren't open. That's what people say all the time. And that's not real. That's not a thing. That's not really the problem. The problem is you let their reaction create tension within you that closed you down. It wasn't that they weren't, doing something wrong. They were doing something wrong. It was a matter of, am I trained enough that when someone comes in and they look at me like this, sure, yeah, I guess, that I don't freak out in my mind and feel like a failure because I'm not getting the approval that I need, right? And so that's a huge part of the development. I just want to jump over here because this kind of connects into it. Within Sarah also says, but that's like my biggest fear. Like, I really want to do this, but there's so much fear of not being accurate and also just being a scam.
Yeah, you and everyone else, my love. You and everyone else feels the exact same way.
100%.
And you just have to trust.
Yeah. Well, and I would throw in here that like that's what development does for you. It helps to take away that fear,
right?
Because you've proved it to yourself over and over and over again. See, Spirit's agreeing. I mean, I actually think it's just your light, but but let's just pretend for a moment that that's magical and spiritual. But that's the whole point of development. Development is the thing that helps you to recognize the reality of your work. Of course, if you jump into it and like you take 2 classes, you take maybe just a few courses, and then you go out there and you start working with the public, you aren't developed. Of course, you're going to feel insecure. Of course, you're not going to know. Of course, you're going to feel worried about all these things. When you leave us in the Oak Bridge Institute, you are going to feel confident in your ability to actually make connections to the spirit. That's not a question. Like, our students who make it through everything that we offer have done the work, have put in the time, have done the readings, have tested and challenged parts of themselves they didn't even know were there, and they've excavated, understood, explored. They do all of these things, and that's what makes them freaking phenomenal mediums. That's why we create really great mediums at Oak Bridge.
Sure. See?
It's true.
Like, it's true.
Now, Reagan just has in her hand just a little button. She keeps pushing at all the points she wants you guys to really listen to. She just keeps pushing the button.
My hands. I have nothing in my hand.
Bianca, what's your thoughts on remote viewing? Remote viewing is a very real thing. And actually, in our psychic course, we cover remote viewing. In fact, we're actually doing our psychic course on July 22nd. And we cover remote viewing in that process. So remote viewing is a very real thing. In one of our exercises, we actually have students read a moving target and tell the target what's coming up. What is the next thing that person is about to see around them? And also, they accurately describe who the person is. They describe where they're going, what they're doing. We even had people name the literal place that they were at. So they don't know where that is. Janelle was there and she's saying that was so fun.
It is fun.
It's pretty amazing. It's absolutely fabulous. I do it well.
It starts at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays starting July 22nd for anyone's interested.
Yeah, Bianca says this sounds right for me. Yeah, and then just remember, like with all of our courses, I know sometimes people go, oh, the price. That is 2 things. Number one, We always do. We always have an option for monthly payments. So it's not like you have to pay it all out of pocket all at once. Number two, we do offer partial scholarships. So if finances are the thing keeping you from being able to participate in something that you're passionate about, interested in, we will make exceptions. We will help you by reducing some of that cost burden on you. Or what we and see, there you go again. Good job, Megan. Push that button on the cost part.
I'm pushing a button.
I know. But the other thing is that sometimes we've even done things where we've just extended the payment time so that they have a longer time to pay. So we're willing to work with you if this is something you really, truly want to do. Bianca says, this sounds right for me. Bianca, it is. Go to oakbridgeinstitute.org and look at Psychism 1. And check it out, see what you think about it. We explore a lot more than just remote viewing. We explore all kinds of things.
You will. I think everyone by the end of that 22-week course felt pretty darn confident in like their ability.
Hell yeah, that was a really great course. Like I was really happy and really proud of that course. Megan just likes to push the button, guys.
I'm not.
I was really proud of that course. I felt like people just grew and did so well. It was fabulous. People really grew, and a lot of these people were brand new folks who had never done anything. So Monet says, I send people your way every day. Thank you. Matthew says, we love you, Monet. We love you. We miss you. We wish you were still in our halls. Matthew,
because we miss our students once they're gone, but also we're kind of like, okay, do your thing, but like we share a lot of vulnerable things too, and with our students and then with each other, like as you go through this process, because you can't do this work without vulnerability. It's just not possible.
100%. And when you with people, hold on, oakbridgeinstitute.org. Putting that in the chat there. When you're with people for that long, right? So we end up working with our students for 2.5, 3 years. And if they just had to do like fellowship program and things like that, then that can be even longer, like 4 years, even 5 years if they take their time. That is a relationship that we build. Like we build deep relationships with our students. We love our students. At least they're deep on our end. I don't know how they feel about us, but I think they like us because they stick around. So, but yeah, we love our students. We like nothing's more pride-inducing than watching your students like overcome the blockages or like find out that they were capable of more than they thought they were. Like the first time they get a name, like the first time they get a street address, like the first time that they get, even male and female, being able to tell this is a male or this is a female accurately. That's amazing. The first time that they say something and then they feel the presence of the spirit draw closer and they have that moment of, oh my God, I really feel them. This is real. Like to me, that is some of the most moving, exciting, wonderful, things that keep it interesting, keep it fun, keeps the passion going.
Well, like for me too, I know how life-changing it was for me to do my mediumship development and to know that I wasn't crazy and to know that like I could, show real evidence that like that people's loved ones are really there or like my own loved ones are there. Right. And like having people have those moments of like, oh shit, this is real. Like, you know what I mean? Like so many people come in with questions or like doubts or fears or, all of the things.
Totally.
And they don't really know, you know what I mean? Like they don't really know until they know. And you can't really know until you have your own firsthand experiences with the things. And it's just so cool to get to help people have those experiences.
I love this. Jamie, our student Jamie, just wrote on the Facebook, "This is why you guys are the best. I couldn't feel more supported."
Oh, I love Jamie.
We love you.
Really.
We love you, Jamie. That's so sweet.
Also, tell her that I'm starting my series on more about my development. I already put a thing up today about confidence and having to start working on
Yes, Jamie, the thing you and I talked about, that you said, I would be really interested in kind of hearing about her journey, Megan's journey, in content. I mentioned it to her that day. I called her up and I was like, Megan, this is a great idea that Jamie brought up. And so, yeah, she's taken it and she already put up her first thing. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that idea. I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get real personal with it, but
That's not hard for you.
Yeah.
That's not hard for you. You're a very open person.
No, it's hard for me to do it on a mass scale. It's hard for me to do it with someone in person or with my students. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's do it.
We'll get to this. I want to answer Cass's question here in a second, but let me just go to this one. Bianca says, I'm able to connect with my spirit guides pretty well, but I'd love if you had any information on connecting with loved ones on your own. Absolutely. Actually, our Foundations 1 class, which you can just take Foundations 1 if you want to, although we recommend taking 2 and 3 also, that will literally teach you how to do that. You will learn everything you need to know in Foundations 1, which starts on Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. You'll learn everything you need to know about that. But essentially, you need to learn to become passive and receptive. If you're saying you can already connect with your guide, it's not very different to connect with your own loved ones. You just have to make sure you have that diffused awareness. You have to have that relaxed state of awareness. You have to really, what I recommend is have a strong sense of clairsentience. That's a foundation of what we teach, so that there's no guesswork. Is that them? Am I feeling them? No, you know when your spirit loved one is there, and you get to learn to feel their closeness. And so that's really the foundation, I feel, and I know Megan agrees, to your mediumship. And so if you're already doing it with your guides, it's not very different. But if you're doing it more so through like claircognizance, if you're doing it more so through like maybe clairvoyance, sometimes that can not have that same impact as clairsentience does. So that may be why, that may be a helpful tip to support you outside of taking the course. Jamie says, oh, I love that. So there you go. And then within Sarah says, being a rational person myself, it was hard to believe it at first. And I feel out there is a lot of witchcraft teachers, and I'm really drawn to your groundedness. We are very grounded. My book is called The Grounded Evidential, a step-by-step guide to, what is it? Genuine spirit, step-by-step guide to genuine spirit communication. And my whole ethos when it comes to mediumship is clear, accurate, specific information in a grounded, practical-based approach. Because there's enough airy-fairy bullshit out there. And the reality is the real connection that you do, with the spirit world is so much more magical and so much more incredible and mind-blowing over the sort of airy-fairy bullshit that you see out there all the time. The real stuff is less wow in the sense of like phenomena or like crazy stuff. I know that there is a lot of real phenomena, but it's not showy. It's not really showy, but it is very deep, powerful, real, and experiential, which I think is really incredible. Yes, they are. Michael and Megan ain't no joke. That's the real Nashe. Thank you.
Thanks.
The real D Nasher. Okay, we wanted to go back to. Oops, I almost canceled myself in this live. I want to go back to Cass's question. Do you think, okay, so 2 things. There's 2 parts of it, and you already know this one. What are your thoughts on spirit-led mediumship on lives? Do you think these people are being legit? And they say, do you think the people who do spirit-led mediumship on lives are being honest?
So, yes. So let's talk about what that even means. Okay. So there's 2 ways to do mediumship. Technically, both are spirit-led. Okay. So one is having a spirit come forward and not really knowing exactly who it's for yet, giving some specific pieces of information, usually 3 to 5, and then either feeling who you feel connected to or having someone say, yes, I can understand all of this information. Then what should happen is that person should either come up and be able to then validate further. So they should be able to say, yes, I understand all of that. And then you go, great, so this person's for you. Let me continue the reading, right? So then you should be able to get even more specific, more information, validating messages, all of that happening on top of the first couple pieces of information that came through, which was just the beginning of trying to find who you're with. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
So
once the person's up in front of you,
yeah, or in the comments.
Or in the comments, you should be continuously giving information, evidence, and if anything, your evidence should start to become even more specific. Yes. Once you have it.
You have that connection now. Because now you're like, oh, great, this person, I can hear, I can feel the power building as I hear their voice or they're responding to me. And so that spirit gets closer, and that should be happening in spirit-led mediumship. Okay. If that is not what you're seeing, if you're seeing someone say a couple things and then someone says, yes, I understand that. And then they go, well, they love you and they're proud of you. And they just wanted to let you know that is where I would question and go, that's not really showing anything. That's not really showing the intelligence of the spirit world and making a proper connection and giving more information. That's where I would go, that's not proper mediumship. That's not really anything. Now, when it comes to going direct, which is the other form of mediumship, is when, let's say I have someone come up, I don't know who I'm going to connect with for them, right? I may say, like, is there someone you want to connect with, and then connect with a person through that, or just have them come forward? Then I'm going directly to them, right? There's a benefit in that, only in the sense of saying that in a TikTok live where people are coming in and out, I have them already there, and I'm going to make a connection that makes it easier to do that, right? Versus if someone were to leave and I'm giving information. That's never actually happened, though. If I've done spirit-led mediumship readings here, every single time, somehow, magically, that person tends to actually be here. So both ways, you're actually being led by spirit, typically, or you should be, to who you're having come up, right? So like either way, you're still being led by spirit. And that's what mediumship is that we're learning how to follow them, right? We're opening up to them and trusting their information, and we are being led by spirit, right? So the problem actually is that people that are underdeveloped or are just not real mediums are demonstrating mediumship poorly. And so now the controversy between spirit-led mediumship and direct mediumship is actually just bullshit, because it's just someone not doing mediumship well. And it doesn't actually make a difference if you're continuing on with the information properly and showing a connection.
100%. And this is kind of a follow-up, to this. So I see people giving 7 to 10 pieces of information before finding the sitter. It feels like too much. It feels like too much. Now, let's differentiate. So that's one way to view it. I would offer an alternative way to view it too, depending on what it is. I'm not saying that all of it is equal, but what I am saying is that, for example, when I have 170 people in a live, I need to be as specific as possible. So I need to give as much information that's going to make sure that it drops out. So if I give, let's say, 3 to 5 pieces of information, I have your grandmother here. She was very warm and kind. She felt to me like she really loved to cook. And she makes me feel like she was married a long time to her husband. And this feels like it's connected to your mom's side. If I said those 5 pieces, that's 5 pieces, but that's pretty broad. That's pretty general. That's a very wide net that you are casting. And now what's going to happen with 178 people in your live, you're going to have tons of people who can take it. You're going to have 1 million hearts in the chat, 1 million people. And now your job is going to have to work a lot harder to get that. Now, if you were to give, like, let's say 7, just for the sake of how long it's going to take me to get through them, pieces of information. You say, I have John here. John lived in Minnesota. He feels to me as though that he is this person's brother who is here in spirit. He feels to me as though he worked as an engineer. He also lived on a street called Wayside. He feels also like he had 6 kids, and he was in the military, specifically the Air Force. I just gave you 7 pieces of information that were very specific. And that is going to cut down all of the people that are willing to take it. So it's less about how many pieces they give. It's more about specificity. So the more specific you are, the better. And when you have so many people, you have to be very, very specific. I remember I was doing a demonstration with James von Prague, and there was like 250 people in the audience or something like that. And I remember that feeling like a lot to me at that point. That was like the largest demonstration I'd ever done. That's a lot of people. And the one thing I said to Spirit before we started, I said, I need you to be so specific. Like, I trust you. I want to follow you. I'm going to do all the things, but I need you to be so specific that only one person raises their hand every single time that I give out a message and I check who can understand it. And you know what? In that demonstration, only one person took it every single time. And then my job after that was to make sure I continued to provide more information, more specificity. I had to give a ton of evidence that backs up that I'm with the right person. So that's what it's supposed to look like. So whether you're giving 3 to 5 pieces of information or whether you are giving 10 pieces of information, it doesn't matter as much as specificity. I do want to say, Judge Dredd, oh no, not James von Prague is what you said. And girl, I know what you mean. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to keep that tea to myself. But girl, yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm going to just look this way.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the point is yeah, should you be skeptical of anyone saying they do mediumship? Yeah, like you should have an open-minded skepticism. But if they're bringing forward evidence, like let's say it's for you directly, and you understand who it's for, then be open-minded to that, right? But like, totally, I'm skeptical. Like, I'm not skeptical of spirit, not at all. Like 100% know that reality is real. I'm skeptical of people because people be peopling, you know?
Let me see. I'm going back up because I missed some things. Christy, there's Christy. What if they're giving a lot of letters and numbers as pieces of info? That can only be valuable in the context of the rest of the information. I should, in theory, when it's going really well, be able to give you, can you understand the 24? But I should hopefully be able to also give you, this is a Letterman's jacket. This is an address. This is something, right? That's an age, the date. Exactly. You should be able to give a little bit more information in a perfect world.
That's our hope.
You don't always get that follow up, but because sometimes you just get random shit like that. But hopefully they take it. Secondly, it builds. So this is where I think a lot of students, or not students, this is where folks who are underdeveloped go wrong. They watch people just throw random pieces of information out and then they see what sticks. We call that throwing spaghetti at the wall. And we don't do that. That's not what a medium should do. And really, no one piece of information, no one piece of evidence stands on its own. It should be within the entirety of the communication. So it's in the entirety of the communication, all put together, that shows you this is your loved one, right? Even if I gave the right name, if I start describing all these features about this person that are incorrect, that doesn't matter. If I give the right date, if I give the right whatever, the rest of the reading could be off. So it's about the whole of the reading being cohesive and accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think what you see a lot of times is just people that can continue to develop, right? That are sort of listing out options of what they could be, instead of just realizing they could potentially get more information from the spirit to actually give more of that context without the sitter filling it all in, right? Like sometimes we have chatty sitters, right? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes they like give more information than we would always like to have. I'm fine with some context as long as like I'm giving the information, you know what I mean? Like I want to be the one giving that because that's the whole point of what I'm supposed to be doing. And so we teach, and what we do as much as we can is to go into the layers of evidence that spirit is bringing us. And then when they change it to something else, and they do, but we're not the one jumping off of it immediately. We're not the one going like, oh, it's this period, unless they make us feel like that. There's times where that's the case and that's all that's needed, right? That can happen. But being a really good medium is learning how to actually follow and trust the power that's there, and learning how to trust the subtleness, the nuance that's there. and to trust your experience overall of that. But that grows over time. Like that really does grow over time. And so when people are out there working that are haven't put that time in, and they don't really have that, that's why people see not very good quality mediumship overall, and then they think it's fake, or or it's not good for anyone. It's not good for the person getting the reading. It's not good for the medium because it really messes with their confidence and their ego, and they also get delusional. It's not good for mediumship as a whole and how it's looked upon in this work. So there's like a lot of reasons why people like me, myself and Michael and other people that have put in the work for development are so pro development, because you can really F someone up if you're underdeveloped and you come from a trauma place and you're projecting that, or fear-based, or your religion, or you say some really horrible thing to that person who's grieving about their loved one. And then they're just like, instead of helping them and making something better for them, you make it so much worse. Or you make it so that now they don't believe spirit at all. Now they're like, that was bullshit. And now they don't believe their loved one's there. Right? So there's a big responsibility that comes with doing this work for other people. I always say to people, your spiritual experiences start and end with you, right? So if you want to have whatever experience and talk to, all different kinds of beings and all different kinds of things and have that for you, I'm cool with that. That's totally fine. But once you start now making connections for other people saying that that's what's happening, or starting to work with grieving people without having the right kind of experience to like back that up and be able to like properly work with them in a way that's not going to damage them, I have a problem with that, because that's not okay. It's just not okay to do that.
100%. I want to come back to a couple of these. I know I'm really behind, so hopefully if you're less behind, I know not that I'm going to go through every single comment, but
yeah.
Someone said, that is if you get the name. Most people begin with one letter, like I'm seeing the letter M. And that is a thing that some people do, right? Some people do that. And maybe on a certain reading, when you're not feeling very connected, that might occur. But the ability to get an M, you're able to also get a name. That's just the reality. The difference is sometimes you're going to hear it really, really clearly. Other times you're going to hear partial. I forget the example you once gave, Jack and Zach or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one.
I heard like Jax, but it was Zach, or I was like, it was.
Yeah, it was like Jax or something like that. Yeah,
like it came through like that. And that can happen.
That can happen. But one good thing that one of my old teachers said to me early on, and I'm grateful he did because it changed how I worked entirely. It was, if you can get a letter, you can get a name. And just knowing that increased my ability to get names I'd never heard of, names in other languages, like all kinds of things that I've gotten over the years of my working with the spirit world. So that is a thing.
Stephanie said years ago she called one of those 800 numbers and spoke with a psychic, and a psychic medium that said her husband was cheating. And yeah, so be very careful. I'm sorry that happened to you, Stephanie, for one thing, but be careful who you trust when it comes to this stuff, because it's a vulnerable place to come from a need that you have, right? Like you're going to a psychic or you're going to a medium because you're like hoping to get some kind of information, right? Either about a loved one or about some information to help you in your life, right? You have to be so careful who you trust. I've had horrible experiences going to psychic mediums too that have told me awful things that weren't true that supposedly happened to me as a child from my own grandfather. And I'm like, that is not true. And it threw me for a loop for a little bit, because I was like, is that true? Is that the reality? Is this person who says they're more connected to spirit and information than me at that time, I was early in development, are they the ones that actually know the truth and I don't? Right? It can really make you feel like that, like crazy. It can make you feel like you don't know what your reality actually is. Right? And so you have to be so careful who you trust in this work. And that's, again, why development's so important, because you have to be able to show up with like a good, connected, consistent ethics and accurate information and things that are relevant to the person, right? And not do it in a negative way.
Again, I'm very behind in the comments, but I do want to talk to Christy because I love Christy's sort of line of communication, what she's bringing up. And one of the things she said is, you are one of the only people I've seen be able to do that. I know Megan can do that. I know I can do that. I know plenty of other mediums who can also do that. But the reality is TikTok is filled with not great mediums. I mean, I'm just going to be totally fucking real here. Unfortunately, it's a platform that equalizes everybody's voice, right? And if you just have enough followers, people think that you are somehow someone I should listen to. But the reality is that the work speaks for itself. When you're not seeing people able to do that, it's because they are underdeveloped and they need to do more work. So that's the reality of it. And I know our students who work with us and finish with us, they can do it too. And we have tons of students who, if they were to do a spirit-led reading, they would be able to start with their pieces of information, and then they would be able. So don't make your judgments on the whole of mediumship off of TikTok, because TikTok is not a great sample set of what's out there. Or maybe it is, and I just happen to know a lot of great mediums and that don't do all those things that we actually really don't like.
I just don't want to see people get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see, I've been hurt by it. Like, I understand that. I'm someone that's lost very close people to me, and I know what grief feels like. I really do. And I take this work so seriously. I think the integrity that needs to go into this work is so important. It's just something that, that's why I developed for so many years, right? Like, that's why we encourage people to develop for as long as we do, because there's a qualitative difference from people that don't to people that do. It just is. And it's not to talk shit. Honestly, it really isn't. It's to educate people because they just don't know. Like, they don't understand what they're missing by not having development. They don't get it. And so they think that that's just fine, but it isn't actually. And so it's so important that there's like voices around that do talk about this, that do point it out. A lot of people don't like it. No one likes to be pointed at in any kind of way and or like have something be pointed out that they're uncomfortable with, or they have insecurities with, or like they haven't done. And so they don't like that. But I think we have to shine the flashlight on truth so that we can make change. Like, I think that that's a part of being a legitimate medium too, is that it shouldn't just be outside people criticizing mediumship that don't actually understand mediumship. It should be the people within it that have actually done the work, standing up for what they need to stand up for to do with it.
If you saw me giggle, it was because I read Monet's comment. She said, Oak Ridge is doing a lot of cleanup.
I'm like, and I think that that's good work to do. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm happy to do that. I wish people could understand. And we're not saying we're the only avenue for development in any way. We're saying we're a good avenue, because we are. But there's many good avenues of development for people. And all I ask is that you take it. You take some form of a good avenue of development and learn the things you need to learn.
Do you believe that everyone can train themselves to connect to spirit, or only certain people have the gift? We believe anyone can learn how to do this. I think for some people it's going to come super easy, and other people it's going to take a little bit more time. But I'd say the average person, about 2 years of good development training to be going from I can't do anything to I can read for the public and like do a good job. I would say if you have good training, because I've also had students who've been studying for 6 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they go, oh my God, why did nobody ever tell me these things? Like, this is changing everything. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, I was one of those, because I developed more in the United States. And then I remember once I went to the UK and I started working with other mediums, especially Eileen Davies, that really broke reorganized, I would say, what I already was experiencing and knowing. And I call it the breaker of chains, because that's what she did for me. And that's what we try to do for our other students who are learning and who are wanting to develop. So, yeah.
Amanda was asking, how about offering free readings to others to practice while being transparent about them developing? So I think that you can do that. I wouldn't do it on a public platform. I would not necessarily be up here and like on TikTok doing readings unless you're at a certain point in your development and actually ready to be doing that. Because guess what? People mess up in their mediumship sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't go well. And that can be really embarrassing for people, right? That could really set you back. Or they could, again, say something that's not particularly great for the person or the people listening, right? So I would do it more, if you're going to do it, I would do it more in like a safe space, like a practice circle, right? Or if it's someone that is like a friend of a friend, that they're aware of the fact that like you're in development and you're practicing. And as long as they have an understanding of what that means, then that's typically fine. Again, I would wait until you're at a certain point in your development to know like a lot of the basics, at least. A lot of that you have consistency, understand the ethics that you need to have around how you're stating information and all that kind of stuff. I think that's really important.
Andrew says, Megan, have you ever had a direct contact with spirit? When you say
Yes.
direct contact, do you mean like linking in with the spirit directly, or like that person like going direct? Or do you mean like, have you had like a personal experience contact with spirit?
I'm like all of the above, yes.
Yeah, all of the above.
All of the above, yes. Checkbox, yes.
Let's see. You know what I was thinking is if there's anyone in the chat that has taken with us, has worked with us, and wants to come up here and just share kind of the truth of the stuff we're talking about, because it's one thing for us to say it, it's another thing to hear it from, people who've actually learned and also exist in the TikTok sphere. You're welcome to do so. You can just request and then Megan will bring you up if you're interested, if you want to. Obviously, no pressure, but yeah. Michael,
sometimes too.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say sometimes too, I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see a medium on a live, not one of our students, but another medium, and they're just really struggling, like really just like not connected. And I just so badly want to jump up there and be like, let me help you. Like I can't do it, but
Megan, I see that with professional mediums.
Yeah, I know.
I literally can think of a couple where I'm like, if you just gave me give me like 4 hours of your time and not even, maybe 3.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Darren's coming up. He's going to share his experience as one of our students.
Hey guys.
Hey Darren, how's it going?
How are you?
Good. Here's one thing that stuck out right off the bat is the reason I'm not doing a live right now is because I'm not feeling well, and I don't feel like I can bring, and I don't want to not bring my best and not be able to represent spirit well enough and not be truly ethical and authentic because I'm not there. So, that's just an example of what I learned. I think from you guys a lot is truly being able to be there for spirit, because it's our responsibility to spirit and to the people.
100%. I could not agree more. I mean, obviously that makes a lot of sense because we're preaching to the choir here, but I feel very much that is true. It's like knowing your boundaries, knowing what feels good for you, knowing when you can, when you can't, right. And wanting to be that, ambassador for spirit. It's one thing, I don't want to do it because I don't want to do a bad job. It's another thing to be like, I don't want to do a bad job for spirit, right? I don't want to fail them. And I think that's definitely something different.
It is. I want to share, I put in the comments earlier, but early on in development, we were talking about how long it would take to develop. And Michael asked the question, if it took 5 years, would you be happy that you took the time? And the answer was yes. And I'm about 5 years into my development now through over 3 years with you guys. And it took way longer than I wanted it to take because I just didn't want it to take that long. But I'm so glad that I've done it. I'm so glad I did it right. I'm so glad I did it with you guys because it really did set the foundation. And it made me feel not only confident, but that there's a lot of ethics need that goes with this work. And you guys provide the ability to be an ethical medium. And that to me was one of the most important things that when I went into this work, that I said I'd be really good at it and be ethical. And that's your guys' work helped me do that.
Thank you, Darren. That's so sweet. We always appreciate to know that we had a positive impact. I think for Megan and I, we are we're always so focused on like, okay, what do we need to do next? What do we need to do next? And what do we need to do to help, our students and things? And so to know that, to get to actually hear that feedback is always very touching for us because we don't always seek it necessarily. So, yeah.
Well, and then the other thing that's important is the statement that mediumship development is personal development. And that is really one of the core foundations of it. The thing that I realized is that at the same time, personal development is mediumship development. So it goes both ways. And you guys lay that out a lot and do a lot of work around it. And that's huge.
It's like life-changing, right? Like, it's like you're a different person, right?
Oh, 100%.
Like you're a richer, like when I say richer, I mean like, I don't mean like financially. I mean like as a being, like you are basically polishing your jewel as you work on yourself, right? And your connection to truth, your connection to what's real, your connection to like all of this and like understanding yourself. And that can't be replaced. Like that's not something you could buy. It's something you have to go through.
No, it is. And I did a ton of personal development even before I started this. I'd come a long ways. This really, took me to a completely different level. And I'm 100% a different person today than I was 4 years ago when I started with you guys.
Thank
That's
you
true.
so much.
So thank
Like,
you.
Reflecting back, I remember like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, unless you guys have any questions or if anybody has any questions, that's about all I wanted to add. Just, your work is amazing. I highly recommend it to anybody that wants to do this work and wants to do this work right.
And what did you take with us, just so people know?
I took everything. I started off with foundations, and then I went to, was it advancing? Expansions, and then I did advancing. So I went up through all three programs, so basically over a 3 year period.
Yeah, and I just want to say for myself, I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm so proud of the growth I've seen you do, and like, and not even just that, like the way you interact with yourself. Like, I've been proud to watch you have confidence in yourself and trust in yourself, and like the way you just navigate things with spirit without beating yourself up as much. Like that kind of stuff. Like I love seeing that kind of growth in a person because I know that again extends into other parts of your life.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you remember I used to beat myself up a lot because I couldn't do it. And it created there was so much tension around performance and being able to get it right and to do it well, because I wanted to do well. I wanted to be able to help people. I wanted to take this work seriously. But it took a lot of your guys' development, time, effort, and literally almost beating it out of me at times to get there. But that has been just a massive shift for me.
Beating it with love, of course. Awesome. Well, thank you, Darren, so much for popping on and sharing. I think it's always helpful for people to hear people who've actually done it. And do you feel like you have everything you need leaving that to work with?
No, when we left advancing, you said your mediumship starts here.
Yep.
That's absolutely the case.
Yep. And
I will develop for the rest of my life, at some level and in different ways. And, I'm developing currently along with trying to do this, to do this in public and to try to turn it into a profession. But yeah, it doesn't give you everything you need, but I can tell you that it puts you where you need to be.
100%.
And for me, it was, I can't say anything better, and I can't say that there's anything else to do, because it drops me off right in a place where I can start discovering it myself,
exactly,
my own way, and truly making it my own.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. We want you guys to make it your own. We want you to discover, how does the spirit world work with you? What do they want to uncover and explore with you? We don't want to create cookie cutter mediums that all look the same, act the same, talk the same. We want you to discover, how does the spirit move and inspire your specific soul, your specific energy? Because it's like a little fingerprint. You're going to do things your way, but you have the foundations on the things that are important to make sure that you stick with that, you know?
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for all your work, and thank you for letting me contribute and just share my love for you guys and love for your work.
Thank you so much, Darren. We love you, and we're
Feel
grateful for
better.
all you do. Yes, and please feel better.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Some
Can I kick my there?
Let's see.
Yeah.
I
There you go.
Yes.
I had a couple other people talk
Yeah.
in the Instagram. I had David Petrusich say, Michael, working
hey,
with
David.
you. Sorry?
Sorry, I said, hey, David.
Yeah, hey, David. Michael, working with you helped me shift my whole paradigm in the best and most grounded way, which is so wonderful. Anytime people use grounded in their description of how I've impacted their life, I'm always like, thank you. You just hit the tuning fork of my loins. Thank you. And then Melissa agreed, Melissa Mortimer Medium said, David, I 100% agree. Which is so sweet. And then WYKD Witch, is it what do you know, dude? I don't know. I don't know what that stands for. It says same here. So, you know, there's people here that clearly have also been impacted. Nieves is here saying, hello, guys. This is so cool. And then we also have Melissa saying, as Eileen says, spiritualize yourself. And I think that that's Wicked Witch. Thank you that I'm too simple to understand that that meant Wicked Witch, but now I see it and I'm simple. So that's the nice thing about mediumship. You don't have to be intelligent. The less that your brain works, the better. You know what I'm saying? So that's really, really great. John, I'm so sorry to hear about your loss. That's so tough. He says, love your work. I appreciate that. I hope at some point I get to give you a message. So yeah, hopefully on one of the lives at some point. So let me see here what we got. I just want to see.
I'll be right back.
Okay, sure. You're good.
Hold it down, Michael. Hold it down.
I'm going to hold it down as best as I can. Lena says, I'm looking for a school. I realized it was a meeting after my brother passed. Well, look no further, Lena. We have Oak Bridge Institute, which is our online school, Megan and I's. It's been around for 5 years, 6 years, something like that. However, we've been teaching much longer than that. With it, we provide grounded, practical, evidence-based approach to mediumship. And as you just heard from Darren, we do, I think, a pretty good job of that. We're actually starting our Foundations 1 series, our Foundation series, but Foundations 1 specifically starts on Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. And you can go to oakbridgeinstitute.org to register for that class, which is the start of the whole program. We actually only teach it twice a year. So we only teach Foundations 1 twice a year. So those are the time periods to hop in. So this is one of those time periods. If you're interested, if this is something that you're passionate about and you want to grow, or even if you're just curious, this is the moment. It's starting Saturday. You could start your journey literally in a few days. And it's live classes, 7 classes for the Foundations 1, 2 hours each, 10 a.m. to 12 Pacific. Elise just wrote in the one of my other live things. She said, highly recommend Oak Bridge. So I appreciate that. And Ray also says, highly recommend Oak Bridge as well. Let me just keep going here. I'm catching up. Okay. Jess says, I did all the foundations and both expansions program, and I cannot recommend enough. Thank you so much, Jess. We love you. We miss you. And no, you can come back and do advancing whenever you want to.
Right.
That's the cool thing about it all, is it doesn't go away. Like, you will always have this skill. You'll always have this ability. And we will always have an open door. So if you, let's say, take a certain course and then you take a pause, that still counts as a prerequisite. That's still in our system. So, you can always jump in and whenever you feel called to. How come spirits don't ever talk about what the other side is like? They do, actually. They do. In our readings, they often will. But I think most of the time, the spirit world wants, especially when they're there in a reading for their loved one, they don't really often care to do that. Imagine if you were on the phone with someone and you were in, let's say, Australia, if you're not there in Australia, and you couldn't speak to your loved one except for this one phone call. You're going to prioritize the things that you really want to say. I think if you were meeting with them regularly and having regular phone calls, I'm sure that would probably come up more. I think we hear more about what the spirit world is like, oftentimes through spirit guides. If you have like a regularly meeting circle or something like that, you'll hear more about what the other side is like. Sam asks if you can explain the different classes, like someone who can connect with spirit and has often what class. So what we do, we teach differently than a lot of other people. A lot of our, especially our Foundations 1, is very different from other folks. And we have exercises that were literally given to us by spirit. They were inspired by the spirit world. And so nobody else does those exercises. Nobody else teaches in the way that we teach. And so we have found that most people benefit from beginning with Foundations 1. I have a student who, I could literally show you the text messages that literally says, Michael, Foundations 1 taught me more than like 6 years of my development. And I've already been working as a medium and also had been developing for 6 years. And he said it revolutionized the way that he works. So we do recommend Foundations 1. However, we do offer what's called an assessment. And so what happens in that is that we will meet with myself or Megan, and we'll ask you a series of questions that would have been in Foundations 1 to check for understanding. And then we will also have you do a reading for us. If we see in either of those things that there's things missing that we would have taught you in Foundations 1, we will recommend Foundations 1. But I got to be honest, guys, like Foundations 1, even though it's called Foundations 1, it is the core of everything that you're going to return to over and over and over and over again. It's why it's Foundations 1, not because of skill level. It's Foundations 1 because this is the thing you're going to use. It's the foundation.
It's literally the foundation that we're building
upon. Everything else comes from this Foundations 1 class. So it's not just, people always like, oh, am I going to have to learn about the clairs again? Yeah, for like 2 seconds. Like most people already know the clairs. We literally touch on it for a minute or two, and that's about it. And we move on to the core underlying things that you need to understand to be able to make clear, accurate, and specific communication.
And consistently and without guesswork.
Yep. That's what we want. John in Tampa, you said, love your book, Spirit Speaks. I'm glad you like that book. Thank you, John. That's very kind.
I want to read this because this is Sage, the witchy medium, said, Megan, this life has honestly shifted my perspective. Now, why that's important is because she was very against school and development and that kind of thing. And she was very pro, like, just go do it on your own. So thank you for saying that, Sage. That makes me really happy, only in the sense that I hope that expands your perspective on why this kind of development is really useful and important.
And like, look, we're not here to say that we are the way, the truth, and the life, right? We're not trying to claim that. We know of amazing teachers that we send people to as well. Like, we know some great people that are out there, and we will happily send people to them. And we're also not saying that everybody's path looks exactly the same, right? Not everybody is going to learn and grow in the same way. What we hope to do with our education is to make the development process as streamlined as possible, rather than having to do what I had to do in my development, which is run into walls over and over and over, trying to find something that would help me understand this process. And I spent years of my development doing things that ultimately would have never gotten me to where I am today. And all it did was feed the ego, or it was airy-fairy things that couldn't be validated, or it was stuff that was just like the teacher's own ego, like coming out on people. And there's still a lot of that. And that's why we created Oakbridge to begin with. We wanted to create a safe space with consistent quality education. And that's what I think we have done over the last 5-6 years.
Sage wants to come up and just talk about how that's shifted her perspective. So I'm going to let her do that.
Let's do it.
Oh,
Try again.
hold on. Let's try again. Yeah. Can you send that request again, Sage? Thank you. Let's see.
Hi, Megan. I just wanted to say, like, I am so sorry for the fact that I had a negative point of view with the college stuff. So to get in a little bit back detail on it, I have seen a lot of people on here be like, if you don't get a certificate, you don't mean crap. So I was like, wait, this doesn't make no damn sense. And yeah, I've been doing this for 14 years. I started in 2012 when I was a kid in school, actively 12 going on 13 in school doing this stuff. And I'm still growing and learning and developing. Would I like to be open-minded to learn from y'all? Yeah, I would. Can I financially afford it? No, I can't. But that's okay. I have been observing you for some time, Megan, and I know you have different perspectives. And I want to let you know I respect you freaking highly, girl.
Thank you.
I do. And I don't hate you. You are a good person.
No, I don't. I never thought you did.
Hey, if you're down to mentor me, I'm willing to learn from you. I'm still growing. I'm just 26 years old. I'm a mom, and I can be stubborn, and I have different perspectives, and I'm willing to be like, honestly open to someone, be like, hey girl, why don't I shift your perspective a little bit and help you get out of that point of view? So if you're willing to, I'm willing to learn from you. And you, sir, well freaking said. Well said. Hold on, I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show you my face so you guys can see me. Well motherfucking said. Okay? Well said. Because simplistically, foundations is motherfucking key. It is. And the reason why I said, like, go out and field and do it, what I meant is, like, development circles. I'm from upstate New York, and I am working on my communication skills. Honestly, I'm still growing, learning, and I need teachers. I'm willing to have multiple mentors. I'm willing for y'all to critique me and look at my shit and be like, hey, you need to shift your perspective on this. Y'all want to critique me? Y'all want to hop on my lives? If I struggle, if you ever see me do, please, I'm more than welcome to have y'all on. And I'm shaking talking about this because, like, I'm passionate about mediumship and helping people and connecting people with their loved ones too.
Yeah.
This is a very sensitive field. You know, there's people on here, like you were saying, sir. There are a lot of bogus ass people on TikTok pretending to be or really have really good mediums.
Right.
Realistically, I've seen it. I've been like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So I totally get it. And I'm down to learn from y'all. If you're willing to teach me, I can't afford your school, but if y'all are willing, I'm down.
Well, I mean, if there's ever a point where you are live, I'll follow you and you can follow me back. And I'm happy. Or even if we just go on a live and we just decide, hey, let's have you come on a live and I will guide you through making a link and give you feedback live on a live and just be, okay, I want you to do this now. I want you to do this now, et cetera, et cetera. Totally down. Totally down.
Yeah, because like even though like you said, we're all learning, all growing, we are all spirit having a human experience.
Yep.
And we're all forever learning. And it's good to learn from different people, see different perspectives, learn from different sources, because realistically, you don't want that, generic person pretending to be something that they're not, or try to be like somebody. Like where I fucked up personally, I'm being honest with y'all. For everybody can see this, because y'all are both celebrities, in my opinion.
I'm not. She is. I'm not.
I don't care. I will say this. Realistically, I've made mistakes on my lives. I have picked up on a name and gotten close, as I don't know that many people. I don't have a lot of human interaction because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm with the autistic 2-year-old all day long. Mm-hmm. The only time I'm able to go live is right now when my son's asleep. Mm-hmm. Realistically. And I've made mistakes too. That's why I asked you about the challenge thing, like to talk about that. And it's hard. That's a lot of things that people don't talk about, is like what they went through with this. Like backstory, y'all, I got picked on as a kid growing up being this way. Do I believe that everybody can tap in and do this? Yes, 100%. 100%. Anybody can learn this. Do I also, in my personal perspective, believe that things can be inherited? Yeah, anybody can inherit a natural disposition for something. Like for football, let me use football for perspective. Y'all don't hate on the Packers. Please don't, okay? So Mr. Tom Brady, right? If you look into his family history, his family has a natural disposition for being really fucking good at sports. Then there's Mr. Aaron Rodgers. He's good at it, but he had to learn it and work it, and then he got good at it. That's how I've always explained mediumship. Some people have the natural ability growing up with it and not understanding what's going on.
Right.
That's for me in my case. My mom's been able to do it. My grandmother, like, that's why I said hereditariness is a perspective. And then I've also watched people who are starting out, and that's okay. That's why I use football as a freaking reference.
I love that.
So,
Yeah, I mean, you're describing.
I'm glad I joined your live. And go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
I'm so sorry.
You're describing something we actually talk about oftentimes. We say we have two types of students. We have those who are kind of, down up, meaning those are the students that maybe like myself, actually, who didn't have any kind of experiences, who didn't have a natural affinity towards it and had to develop it, right? So they're sort of reaching upwards for that connection. And then we have the opposite, which is sort of that top-down approach where it's like, there's a lot going on and I need to learn how to manage this and how to handle this.
Yeah.
And that's the other type of student. Absolutely.
Yeah, it can get very overwhelming. Like I said, being a psychic kid, I was in a GATE program from 2004 to 2006, got out of it because my mom pulled me out of it. I experienced seeing things off the corner of my eyes. I have seen maybe for 3 seconds to 3 minutes a full body apparition of somebody while actively channeling and being like, oh shit, okay. And be like, hey, does your loved one wear blah, 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 blah? Or is this like their signature outfit? And they were like, yeah. I do have those experiences. I've always had paranormal stuff happen to me when I was 5 years old. My mom could see like shit happening and she'll turn a blind eye to it. My dad was the only one who said, go for it. Go for it. So this changed my perspective. If y'all see any videos, any of you see on my page about me talking crap about college mediumship, my perspective has fucking changed. Because I seen people on here saying opposite that put a sour taste in my mouth. I don't have a sour taste towards you guys at all. I just never thought it was necessary because I never had someone be like, hey, you need to go do that. I've been in development circles like on Facebook, etc. Learned. I've had people even gauge me on mediumship of where I'm strong, where I'm weak, what needs to be worked on. And that's normal and that's good. You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%.
I hope it makes sense.
You make perfect sense. You make perfect sense. And something else I would offer too, it's like with both types of students, they both require something slightly different and that slightly different perspective or approach, I should say. And then the other thing is, though, that the underlying principles are still the same. And so that's what we focus on. We don't focus on like, if you just look up and to the right, you're going to get this person's name. Like, we're not that kind of technique focused sort of thing. We believe in teaching people the understanding of the fundamental principles around mediumship development that will apply to anything we do that is related to psychic awareness, mediumship, healing, trance, physical mediumship. All of those things, they all have an underlying similarity in what you need to be able to do. And that's what we teach people to do. And that's why we get such great results.
And that's respectable, 100%. The both of you, like, y'all need kudos. The students, keep doing what y'all doing. Keep spreading love. Love is fucking key. It really, really is. And I look forward to keeping up with y'all. Honestly, I do. And I hope you keep up with me. I have a very weird, different point of view on things. My content's very mixed on here, but I'm always being my 100% authentic self.
No, well,
authenticity
I'm glad.
Is the best.
I'd
rather be completely honest. It says sugarcoating shit. Like, there's people who will sugarcoat or be like what you were saying, your loved one's proud of you. The very generic, just like, what the fuck? Yeah. I'm like, no, when things come through, I'm like, hey, I need you guys to like listen. Because I've had very chatty clients. I've had clients feed me too much information. I'm like, hey, whoa, stop. Like, let it happen, because I get overwhelmed. I have anxiety. I have CPTSD, and that kind of, maybe that's part of the reason why I'm able to see things so vividly in my mind's eye is because of that. Something activates it in every single last one of us. Like, Miss Megan, have you ever had a near-death experience?
No, I have not.
Have you?
Nope. Well, I mean, potentially when I was born, I almost died, but I don't really count it because it's not like a proper near-death experience.
Like, I've had several near-death experiences. Like you were saying, some people are up and then they come back down. Like, I'm like here and I get overwhelmed. Like, I haven't been going live doing readings for the simplistic fact things have been seeming off, not in my personal life, but just the energy, the feel of this app and the people on it. It's like, where are the OGs at? Where are the chip coffees at? Where are the psychic kids at? Where the fuck are you guys at? And that's, excuse my language, that's how I'm like feeling. Like, you're an OG, Miss Megan. You are. You are. I'm not gonna lie. You are an OG. So are you.
Thanks.
So I hope I'm making sense.
You are.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
funny, you're talking about the psychic kids, that show. Travis was one of those psychic kids, and he is on this app, and he's also great for development and stuff. So
100%.
I talked to him. He wants me to purchase one of his books.
Yeah, he's great.
And I'm going to.
His information is really, really good. Love Travis. We talk almost every day, just via Instagram and things like that. But like he's definitely he knows what the fuck he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about, and he brings a really great grounded approach. So he's very in our sort of ilk, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, also Miss Megan, with Amy Belaski, she's very different.
Mm-hmm.
Has she made hiccups? I do agree with you on the stuff that you were saying. Not trying to hate on her. I respect her immensely.
Oh.
She had hiccups, and she did actually address where she fucked up in like Instagram Live and stuff like that. And I've made, I guess, a weird comparison to try to explain myself to people, because it's hard, me being vulnerable, talking to strangers and being like, hey, this is me, this is what I've been through.
Yeah.
I'd always be like, if you want to compare me to somebody, as an example, with Mediumship, Amy Belaski, and Kelsey Davies. I don't know if you guys heard of Kelsey Davies at all.
Yeah, I'm blocked from both of them, actually.
Why?
Well, because I've pointed out ethical things that I don't prefer that I did. So
I've always been curious on like where they messed up, because I've only seen bits and pieces. I'm so open to learning and hearing, like, where did they screw up? Like Kelsey, she's an odd character.
I don't want to like take that. We can talk privately if you want me to give you.
Yeah.
I want to
I'll
take
even
it
give you
that
my
direction.
phone number if you want, girl. I got you.
Awesome.
But yeah, I just wanted to hop on and say that, and I'm proud of you. Very proud of you.
You're so
And
sweet.
I know you see my videos. I know you see my comments. And thank you for clarifying, both of you, that people can get scholarships. Because I was like, what about the people who can't afford that? What if, like shit, like there's some people who can't even afford $230. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
People are scraping by.
Yeah.
Like, the economy's bad.
That's definitely something we definitely consider when we are doing our pricing, and we really try to keep it as low as we feel we can, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's
it's why we created the scholarship portion of it, because we definitely have people.
How do you get a scholarship?
You just have to email us. You just email us at support@oakbridgeinstitute.org and just say, hey, this is kind of my current financial situation. Or you don't have to go into too much detail, but just literally just say, hey, I find that it's difficult to pay this, and I just want to know what you guys would be willing to offer. It is helpful if we have some idea, like, for example, a single mom with a child, or like all of that stuff.
Your classes,
yeah.
Bro, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm such an open book. I'll be like, this is what the fuck I'm going through. Like, there's no... What is it? Something my dad said, it's better to be honest and truthful than to lie, because that digs you in a hole that you cannot get yourself out of. That's why I'm like always brutally blunt and honest on my platform as a TikTok creator. That's why I'm so fucking blunt. I stick up for disadvantaged. I know you guys will too. So
100%.
I'm going to hop off of here. thank you so much for having me on your live.
Thanks
you
for
guys
coming
are the
up,
best.
Sage. We really appreciate
Nothing
it.
but love to y'all. Okay.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up and sharing that. It's nice to know that, you know, kind of us just talking about this was able to kind of bring a different perspective. And honestly,
Hearing from
that's,
students.
yeah, I mean,
think.
it's honestly, like, I think I want to just let people realize that, like, it is about offering a different perspective. We're not saying this is right, this is wrong, but we are going to hold tight to anything that kind of crosses the boundaries into anything that is potentially harmful to others. So that's pretty much the only time where we're going to say, like, this is right, this is wrong. But that being said, other than those things, when it comes to the practice of mediumship, what we're interested in is effectiveness and results.
Yes.
So that's what we try to push, because as someone who has been around the block, studied with plenty of people, have worked with students who I've seen damaged by other teachers, seeing things that work, seeing things that doesn't work, and that all gets distilled into the education that you receive at Oak Ridge Institute. It is us doing our best to try to make your mediumship the best that it can be. Not because we have an opinion, because we base it off of the results. That's why.
We don't
that's
care
what it goes.
that much, you guys. We just want to, like, do what we can do for, like, spirit, so they have good instruments and that they're able to work through people properly and, like, help people hear. That's, like, the whole point.
And if
right?
if we find something that works better than what we already were doing, we change it out. We are going to shift our perspective. We're going to offer a different thing. If there's a way for us to expand or grow or push on our own edges, we are more than willing to do those things. And honestly, the process of teaching, the process of connecting with people, the process, I mean, actually, it's our students that teach us about how to be better teachers, how to run a better business, how to offer and meet the needs of students as they shift and as they change. So we are not people who are, like, set in stone and this is it. I know that, you know, for Megan, unfortunately, has been sort of painted as this sort of, like, tough, hard-nosed person, but the reality is Megan is fucking sugar. You know, she's just the sweetest thing. And not only is she the sweetest thing, she is genuine and honest and vulnerable, but she is not willing to let, I would say, other people meet harm. And that's, I think, the only time that her and myself are much more direct about what we will not stand for. Because here's the thing. When you work in this field as long as we have, what you experience over and over again, whether that's a client or a sitter that comes to us, whether that's a student, you experience the impact of when things are done in a certain way. You've experienced, and you have to be the one to put this person back together. That's where the passion comes from. That's where the desire to protect comes from, because we are the ones who see the result of poor mediumship, of unethical behavior. These are the things that we will not stand for, because we have to say something. If we don't, that stuff's going to keep going on. And I think Megan's been blocked by half of TikTok, spiritual TikTok now, because she's hanging her hat on authenticity and truth. And just like Sage said, you know, authenticity is everything. And so is truth. And so is love, you know? I do want to just,
it's never personal.
sorry,
that's the other thing, is, like, also too, I'm always open to people's opinions. Like, Sage, I know Sage knows this, like, she's posted opinions on my TikTok that is different from mine. And I'm totally fine with that, as long as people aren't, like, disrespectful, like, because there's no need for that. Like, I'm totally open-minded. That's the thing. But I'll also tell you from my experiences why certain things are how they are and how they work and all that kind of stuff to do with mediumship, right? So, like, I'm very, like, I think that some people think I'm very dogmatic, but it's really only when it comes down to the truth of the work and like, harming people and being unethical and just doing things that are just, like, unnecessary when it comes to how it impacts other people, and people just really having no awareness of that, especially if you have a really large account, because you're hurting the person you're working with, but then you're also like spreading this horrible message to so many people. And that really can make me feel quite upset sometimes, like quite passionate about wanting to correct or debunk it, because that's what people are learning. People take in all this information from TikTok, right? Or like from wherever. And then they think that that's what it's supposed to be like. And then there's these people that are like imitating that. And then it's just like this ripple effect of pain and agony and awfulness in the name of mediumship, which is meant to be healing.
And we already
meant to be of love.
We already have enough shit from the skeptics that we're already trying to combat. And then all you're doing is giving fodder to the things that they're upset about. And honestly, they should be upset about those things. We're upset about them too. So, it just makes the job a whole lot harder. I do want to just read a couple of these comments that people have made over here. Jamie says, learning mediumship has been one of the most challenging experiences of my life. I have quit more times than I can count, but since being with Oakbridge, I've had to face the elephant in the room, or maybe in my mind. And although difficult at times, this unraveling of maybe perfectionism, etc., needed to happen to give me the courage to keep going.
Yes.
Jamie, I'm screenshotting this because that is amazing. That is an incredible thing. If you let me, I will definitely post that somewhere. But another one was Wicked Witch says, honestly, developing with Oakbridge was helpful in not being on all the time. While there's always an awareness of spirit, it's nice to not have to do anything with it right then and there, which is like so important and something that we definitely don't hear from the people that want that attention, that want to feel that special thing. So I'm really happy, Wicked Witch, that that's the case. And then we also have Annie of Annie says, Michael and Megan have turned out some of the best mediums I know. Thank you. We agree with you. We think our mediums that we create are incredible. We love our mediums. The work
that they do. We're giving them a foundation to help guide them, but it's their work that they put in. That they are the ones, like, I have to point to in spirit for helping to develop them, right? Like, we can't take all the credit when it comes to it, really.
Very true. Because you only, and this is what we tell people in Foundations 1. We say, you only get what you put in. That's what you get out of this course. You get what you put in. If you're willing to put in the energy, effort, and time, you will get what you put in. Nieves says, in clappy hands, Nieves says, those are the ones that made me not believe in mediums years ago, saying, these other people who are full of all of those things. So I think that that's really, Nieves is one of our students, it's when you see poor mediumship, those are the mediums that are going to make you go, it's not real. There's nothing real about it. But it's funnily enough, just a short, quick story about Nieves. Nieves actually was at the James Van Prague demonstration that I did many years ago. God, how many years ago was that now? 6 years?
A long time ago.
A long time ago. Jeez. 6-7 years ago. And she came to the development circle thinking it was just going to be a meditation circle. She was an atheist, by the way. And she came to the development circle. It was 8 years ago, apparently. She came to the development circle thinking it's a meditation circle and ends up being a mediumship circle. And she was like, what the heck? And from that day, she was hooked and started developing. But she was a literal atheist before this, which I always think is hilarious. Also, I want to highlight that Rachel was also talking. I know, I haven't seen Rachel in forever. Rachel was also saying, I loved everything about your courses, and I still hear y'all's voices at times telling me to let go. Love it.
Mm-hmm. I feel so full of love and appreciation. All the love of people saying, oh, my favorite mentors, and all the things that you guys are saying about learning from us and just how it's changed your lives and your mediumship. I literally want to sit here and cry and sob.
No, it is amazing.
So full of just love, and it makes me feel so happy because I'm just we actually are helping to make a difference. And I just love you guys so much, and I always appreciate the trust you have in us to guide you in that way. And I'm so, so grateful.
it really is like I wasn't expecting to come on here and have so many of our previous students and people we've worked with be like, you guys are amazing, you guys are wonderful. And it's not just they're saying you're amazing, you're wonderful, you're great mediums. They're saying you've changed my life. You shifted my perspective on spirit. You've helped me find truth in my connection. They're saying things that are not just like praising us as us. They're praising the education. They're praising the experiences that through working at Oakbridge have unfolded this thing that I think both Megan and I from a young age was searching for. Like we were in your shoes. We were in your shoes where we were like, I don't know if any of this is real, or I wish something real would happen, right? Or I want to know, experience my loved ones in spirit. We were in that position before. And the only difference between us and you is time and the education. That's it. And so I just think it's really, really powerful to get to hear a lot of these stories and these testimonials from people. I mean, it's just like very meaningful to hear. And like Nieves just added, you allow me to find myself. Thank you. Which is just like, what? I'm just a mediumship teacher, man. Like that's all I'm doing. What do you mean we're changing people's lives? We're touching people's lives. And like, I get the greatest vantage point because I've been doing this for a really long time. And I myself got to see Megan unfold from Megan in the beginning to Megan now, and mediumship. And I know it's mediumship and her connection to spirit and her willingness to work hard and her willingness to put in the time. Megan is one of my hardest working students I've ever had. And to see the growth of what you've done and become and the way that you serve the spirit and how much you really land and get it. I mean, pride would never encapsulate what I feel for you. Like truly, I just want to say that. Like now I'm getting emotional. What the heck? Listen, I cried earlier today about something totally unrelated, but I think I'm a little more sensitive today. But like watching you grow into the person that you are and the person, not like the person, the medium, the friend, the mentor, the teacher, the spiritual person, like it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I know, and I think being sort of at the position that I'm in, of like having worked in this field for so long and working with so many different people to get to watch the ripple is so powerful. And Megan is one of the biggest ripples that I've ever made. So thank you for being my ripple.
Well, thank you for going through everything you went through to get to land where you were on the level of truth and integrity and importance of mediumship, to start your circle so that I could get here, because all of that needed to happen. And I know you went through a bunch of stuff to get there. And God, I just love so much.
You do love.
I love spirit, and I love people. Like sometimes they annoy me for sure, right? Like,
for sure. We all get that way.
And I love what we do. Like I'm just like so grateful on every single level for what we do when we work with spirit individually for people, when we do it for a crowd of people, when we work with students, like when I get to help people have, take away their fear of spirit, like all of that stuff is like, I'm just so grateful.
100%. I love that Matthew Tao said, I learned to do less, which is, very impactful. The style and personality pulls me in. My ringtone is Michael saying do less. I love that. Thank you for all the heart and the love. I appreciate all the hearts and the love, everybody. That's so sweet. We didn't mean to get all like,
I know it wasn't.
We're glad we did because we believe in being vulnerable and expressing emotions. But we weren't thinking that's where any of this was going. But you guys are like moving us into that. So
yeah.
And Mon Ami is going to be joining us actually, funnily enough. So we're going to be with her on Saturday, and she says, "I hope to gain confidence in myself." Megan, I think you can speak to that very clearly.
Yeah. So I actually made a video about this earlier. That I had to build my confidence. Like, I know a lot of people see me go, wow, she's really confident. Like, I wish I had her confidence. I've heard that from so many students. I didn't start here, guys. I did not start here. And no one sees what's behind the curtain, right? Like, no one sees all the work that was put in, right? Except for maybe Nieves, because she was there. She was there at some point, part of my development too, developing with me. And now I'm teaching her, which is amazing. But I had to put in a lot of self-work. I come from a lot of trauma. Like, that's just the honest truth. I come from a very difficult beginning, and like having to learn to trust myself. God, it hurts. Having to learn to trust myself was really hard because I learned not to trust myself as a child. And I had to really stand in confidence and trusting to even do this at all. I had everyone around me in my life was like, you're crazy. Like, you're not doing that. You're not doing mediumship development. I'm like, yes, I am. I felt the strongest pull of my life, besides having my children, to do this. And I'm like, I am doing this. I don't care what you say. This is happening. Like, I just don't care. Like, this is what's going to happen. Like, I knew from day one of development circle that this was meant for me, that this made sense finally about everything I had ever experienced in my life. And I didn't have that until that point. And so I'm so grateful to Spirit for like leading me and helping me get there and being with me throughout this. But like, my confidence, like, I went up against everything that everyone else does, right? Like, lack of confidence, lack of trust in myself, trying to control everything, trying to understand it in my mind. All of the things that come up for every other developing medium I went through too. And I had to just keep facing it, and doing all the self-work that came with it. And I don't know. My dedication to it started literally day one. I was like, okay, this is what we're all in.
Yep. 100%. And I just want to add that Nieves says, I saw it and I admired you always, she says.
Thank you, Nieves.
Wicked Witch, oof, the trauma piece is so real. This work is so impactful because it's undoing the learned self to get to the true authentic self. Oof, that was really well said. Jenny says, I've only finished Foundations 1 so far, but that alone was so life-changing. I'll be back. Thank you, Jenny. We love that. We can't wait to have you back. I'm just...
My kids were little when I started developing. Yeah.
Just...
And I went, listen, if it was someone's birthday in my family, I still went to Circle. If it was an anniversary, I still went to Circle. Like, I literally, if there was anything that was open for me to go do, I did it. I sat in the power every single day for years and years and years. Like, I was like, I don't care how I have to make this happen. It's going to happen.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can vouch for that. Megan was better at sitting in the power regularly than I was, and still probably is, honestly. I love that everybody's bawling, everybody's crying. Jess was like, I'm crying now. This is so sweet. Let me just keep rolling through these things, see if there's anything I'm missing.
How very Sagittarius of you, yes.
Anne-Marie says there's been so much negativity. This was very needed. I mean, that's what we try to bring. I mean, we try to bring that positivity and love and support. And but I mean, today's been particularly special, I would say. I mean, just to hear from all you guys like share is just crazy. The Career Priestess says, I literally got into Foundations because Megan said it's not scary. So, I mean, everything that we're talking about, guys, is like, this is all available to you starting Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Like, what we're talking about is available if you're curious, if you're wanting to explore. You can just take Foundations 1 and see how you feel. But it's better to take it now, otherwise you have to wait till January. So that's why, we're chatting about it today. We're talking about it today. But we're just so lucky that we have so many students who have benefited from it. Someone else had said, I already read that. Okay, cool. Let me keep going.
I don't show this side of myself a whole lot, I think. Maybe more so on lives than I do in my videos sometimes. Because, like, here's the thing. You got to grab people's attention when your videos come in. And that's the really unfortunate part about TikTok sometimes is, like, you have to be a bit strategic when you're making videos and like the way you come across and that kind of thing. I am going to try to be a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit more open, in this series that I'm doing. But I try to be pretty like about certain things because I'm trying to make a point in my videos, but the truth is like, I'm actually a soft little squishy person, and I can be a little bit like that sometimes. I'm very straightforward, and I know how to get right to the details of things. Right. But also too, like, I'm here to like love on people and to help ground them and to help teach them. I don't think you ever have to be mean. I don't think you ever have to name call. I don't think you ever have to try to call out specific people unless there's like a harmful behavior that's happening and that's the only reason you're even talking about it. Like, I just don't think that's ever necessary.
100%. I want to add that Jamie just said, I love this side of you, Megan. And then Nat said,
thank you, Jamie.
Nat says, seeing you love, you showed me and gave me an example for how to love me, which I love this. Everybody's saying, Lord, all the feels tonight.
I was like,
Rachel says, I am such a different person now. I love that this showed up at this time. I've been appreciating my teachers all day. That's so sweet. I'm just getting through some of these.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Luckily, I'm friends with a current student, so I practice with her once a week. Fabulous. I love that. Love that you're keeping that up. Can I read the questions on YouTube as well? Let me see what I got here. Sorry.
I also want you to answer this for Amanda, you specifically, because she's saying I'm a Christian, but also have always had psychic and mediumship abilities. Do you have advice? Because that's something he has personal experience with.
I got you, girl. Give me 1 second. Let me just check it. What we're looking at here. Have you ever worked with someone who was a shaman and later or later turned into shamanism?
Yeah, I'm sure we have.
I'm sure we have. We may just not have been necessarily conscious of it. I mean, we've taught like thousands of people. In terms of spiritual energy, have you faced higher beings like gods that make your body experience this tingling sensation? Funnily enough, that tingling sensation is actually our energetic awareness. So when we do mediumship, speaking to just regular old dead people, we have tingling sensations. When we connect with our guides, we have tingling sensation. When we connect with that great divine source, we have tingling sensations. So it's actually an energetic experience that is part of what happens when we start to expand our awareness, when we start to open our sensitivity. That's when we start to experience things like tingling, buzzing, warmth, heaviness, thickness in the atmosphere. All of that is a part of it. If you think mediumship is for you, definitely try Foundations 1, according to Raven. Thank you, Raven. This is amazing confirmation filled with love. I loved listening about your experiences. Thank you, Jimmy. You're a very professional, Megan. That's from Nieves. And Wicked Witch, I wasn't ready for this feels trip. Just Scroll says, but when I connect with ancestors or spirit guides, there wasn't much of this tingling sensation. That may be the case, but I can definitely say that tingling sensation comes with any spiritual interaction, at least for myself. I know for Megan, it doesn't matter really sort of the level of connection, so to speak. That tingling sensation, the sensations that come from the spirit world, like just as a whole, tingling, buzzing, warmth, heaviness, thickness in the atmosphere, pressure on your body, all of those things are a part of that thing when you are connecting in with your clairsentience. It may be that in those instances, you weren't necessarily focused as much on your clairsentience as maybe we were when you were feeling close. Also, the other thing is you could just have had a much clearer and stronger connection when you were connecting into that divine sort of being feeling, or maybe there was a part of you that was able to surrender even more because you were viewing them as, this divine presence. That is enough to make you to feel a whole lot more as well. So there's so many different reasons why you might not feel it as much in one session or another, but I can definitely say with confidence that is a hallmark of spiritual connection, is the tingling, buzzing, warmth, heaviness, thickness in the atmosphere. Hopefully that's helpful. As a medium, do you experience spiritual sickness as well? I've never had that. That's never been my experience.
I think we have to clarify like what that is too, because there's times when you're sitting and when you're going into altered states, you may feel dizzy. You may feel like you're spinning.
Or
you
nauseous.
Feel different things. Yeah, nausea. Nausea is a common thing that some people report, on occasion. It fades. It goes away. So once your system is more like acclimated energetically to having this happen, that stops happening, right? So sometimes we kind of need it because our attention goes to it. And so when our attention goes to it, it feels stronger to us in that way. So you have to learn how to let it go if it is happening to you as the process, as you continue to let go and surrender, essentially, it will stop. It will diminish. But as far as like spirit sickness or spiritual sickness, as far as like, I think people talk about like ascension symptoms and those kind of things. We really have to differentiate between what is just normal, mundane things that people experience and then try to place like the reasoning to do with spirit or the reasoning to do with some kind of spiritual upgrade or something like that. But they don't actually know that to be the case. They're just saying that that's the case because that's what they want to believe, right? So there's so many nuances in this kind of area, honestly. So I kind of need to know more information too.
That was a very well-rounded thing. Megan, yeah. I don't know how you haven't gone and peed, or did you?
I did before when I said I was going to go.
Oh, okay. I need to go do that because I need to go pee. I'll be
when people talk about cultural appropriation, they're basically saying that you can't just take someone else's practices when it comes to certain cultures and things and just decide that you want to do that yourself without having some kind of initiation and learning in that tradition.
I just want to answer this question. Should someone practice tarot to open up their spiritual channel before taking your course? Also, you mentioned there's a change in your course. I'm not sure exactly about the change right off the top, just because we talked about a lot of things. But as far as having to take tarot or something like that, no. There's actually, you can be a man off the street. You don't have to have any previous experience. We're going to teach you all of the things that you need to know just for that. So Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific is when that would happen. And I really hope you guys are going to
when it will happen.
When it will happen. What did I say?
When it, I think, can happen.
Did I say supposed to happen?
I don't know. It's so opposed to something, or it's not. It is happening.
No, it's 100% happening. Yeah, but no, you absolutely don't need any previous experience. That's the whole thing. Is like, mediumship is its own skill set. This is something that I
Yeah.
really am like strong about. Mediumship is its own skill set. So even if you have experience in other areas, it is its own skill set with its own sort of things. And so a psychic, someone who's done a lot of psychic work, isn't necessarily going to have the same sort of skill set development as a medium does, right? And neither is if you've done energy healing, not the same thing. Neither if you've done remote viewing, not the same thing, right? So it's a very specific skill set. I actually think it's easier to learn mental mediumship first and then going into psychic awareness. I personally think that that's easier than going the other direction. I know that a lot of spiritualists and traditional ways of teaching this, which is where I'm the rebel, I have found is actually the reverse, that learning mediumship is actually easier.
So it is all live classes, but you also get the recording of it. So let's say you have to miss like the first one, that's fine. When we start working with partners, we want people to be there. Obviously, we want you to be there all the time so you can ask your questions, because we answer your specific questions to do with your development and whatever question you have. But these are all live classes, but you get the recordings forever. You have access to them forever.
Yep.
I
also, sorry, I just want to say hi quickly. Hey, Kimberly, nice to see you. Thanks for jumping in this live. We're just talking about Oak Bridge Institute today. And we had a bunch of our students come on and share some really amazing feedback and testimonials, so to speak, about how life-changing working with Oak Bridge is. And you're welcome for answering your questions. Just scroll through. Yeah, you were going to ask something.
Yeah, you were saying something, and then there was something I was going to like add to.
Yeah, you were. Well, wait, you were going to add. I thought we were going to answer the Christian.
Yeah, I want you to do that too, but there was something you were saying, and then I interrupted myself with a different question.
Hilarious. I love that April said, well, shit, now I want to take the classes. That's hilarious. When you feel pressure on your forehead begins, is that my energy expanding? So when we first start connecting in, oftentimes people have certain areas of their body, areas sort of around them that tend to be a little bit more energetically sensitive. So for you, it might be your forehead that's more sensitive. For a lot of people, it's their hand. Damn it, the fucking guy got me.
Okay.
Oh, the mosquito got me. He bit me. I'm sure he did. He landed for like a second. I'm going to have to battle some mosquitoes. So if you hear screaming, if you hear things falling over, that's me battling the mosquitoes. And Jamie's going to be like, you have so many mosquitoes. She always tells me that.
Yeah.
That little flyby mosquito. Come on. Come
what
back.
Were you saying before the
Come back. Sorry. My one arch nemesis is mosquitoes because they're
we were talking
freaking
about
lovely.
energy, right? So, and where it can, so for some people, you may notice it in certain areas first. It's also sometimes because you are noticing that one area, your focus goes there, and then you start to like not notice other areas as much. But it can be like kind of the start of that energetic awareness opening. But I would say let yourself move into your full body energetic awareness, because we actually have a full body energetic awareness, and we want to learn how to open that and let that kind of emanate around us and become aware of the space around us energetically as well.
She followed up with, where's the most sensitive for you guys? And what Megan said just now, it's the whole. It's the whole
like
of your
it's
energy.
like a big egg.
Yep, you're like a little bubble of sensitivity. Oh, I dare you to come back. I dare you to come back, mosquito. Like, come back to me.
No, don't.
No, do, because if he comes back to me, I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to do. I don't like when the forehead tingles. It literally annoys me. Yeah, I would recommend just getting comfortable with it, because you're going to feel all kinds of weird sensations that you're going to feel. But wasn't there like a Christianity question?
Yes. So up here, let's see if I can find it again. Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say now. I stopped talking. I was going to say I started with mediumship development, and I think I'm a really good psychic because of the fact that I started with mediumship development. where is it? I don't know where it is, but someone was saying that they're a Christian and that they have psychic experiences, but they're asking for something. They're asking for, oh yeah, I'm Christian, but also have always had psychic mediumship abilities. Do you have advice?
Yes, I mean, this is something that I study a lot. I've studied the Bible quite a lot. I still study the Bible. I mean, if you look at my YouTube history, if you listen to my podcast, it's probably going to have something to do with the critical scholarship around the Bible and all of these things. So that's generally, and if any of you are on TikTok, follow Dan McClellan if you're interested in that. Dan McClellan is like the OG bomb, but there's also a bunch of other people on here that are amazing too. Anyway, when it comes to specifically Christianity and this, I think there's a couple of things that we kind of have to recognize. Is there is mediumship in the Bible, the Witch of Endor, right? Like that's one example where literally, I think it was Samuel who like goes and tries to get information from someone. I forget who. God, I'm doing a really good job. I know a lot about the Bible, but I can't remember any of the facts. And it worked, right? It actually worked. So it shows that it is true in the Bible. Now, I think your modern day Christian is going to say, well, you're going to something else other than God. But I think that's where maybe I diverge from the Christian sort of theology. Jesus said, you know, these things and more you shall do. And I believe that when we talk about the power, we're really talking about the Holy Spirit. I think we're talking about the same thing, but in just two different lenses. I don't believe that there is some malevolent force that's trying to trick me into any of these things. And that may kind of go against maybe the belief system. But I mean, if you look into where we get Satan and the devil and all these things, it's not the character that we think it is, right? Like Satan literally means the accuser. And it's actually more like a title of a role. And that is under God's command, right? And actually there's instances where angels are referred to as a Satan, and they play the role of the Satan. And so this concept of Satan and all of these things really come, it's not in the Jewish Bible at all. And yes, but like I'm referring to the books of the Bible that are connected to that rather than the specific thing. But and it's so the Old Testament, I should say. And then it's also, it's more in the New Testament a little bit, but even then it's still not necessarily fully developed. It's not actually until the like medievally times where we really get like the full, I think it starts somewhere in the 2nd century BC or BCE. And then it's not until we get to like Middle Ages where we really get that main story of like cloven hoof and like, you know, hell being this place of eternal torment and destruction and all of these sorts of things. So I'm not really at all into all that. But what I will say, I think it's 1 Corinthians 15. Don't quote me. Let me see. Gifts, Spirit. I have a computer right here. Because I can just Google this really quickly. 1 Corinthians 12. They talk about the manifestations of the Holy Spirit, and this includes wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discernment of spirits, speaking in tongues, and interpretation of tongues. If you were to ask me, I see what spiritualists have done for a long time, other religions and belief systems. I don't think that these gifts and these abilities are unique to just Christianity. I think that we see those in many different religions. Healing, right? That's something that is not stuck to any religion. Prophecy, that's not something that owns that thing. Discernment of spirits, I take that to mean literally being able to tell this spirit from this spirit, right? These are extensions of this power, and this is something that I think Jesus, assuming that this was a real person, may be down with. But I think the other thing is let's remember that these are Paul's letters, right? Like this isn't even what Jesus said. This is what Paul said. And if you go a little bit deeper into the Bible, you're going to start to see there's a very different idea between what Jesus teaches and what Paul teaches. So something for you to kind of look into as well and decide, am I more Paulian in my belief systems? Am I more Jesus in my belief systems? I think the core of what Jesus taught was love thy neighbor, ab thyself, love God before, I'm putting those in reverse order actually, love God before all other gods, so to speak. And I don't believe that, I just think that if you simplify Jesus's message to the core, it's just love. And I think when I'm doing mediumship, I'm loving God. I think when I'm doing any sort of work for the spirit world, I'm loving God. And I also think that anytime that I am loving God, I'm also loving my neighbor at the same time. Because when I love other people, I think that's where we find and meet God, is in love, because I do believe that God is love. So connection to the spirit world, to me, is merely a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. And it's something that you and I and everybody else has the ability to do. I don't even know if you're still in the room, but I hope that whoever does hear this, whoever has struggles with Christianity and this, should say. Now, that being said, the Bible is very clear that, doing this sort of stuff is not down. But then I think I just need you to take some time and dive into the Bible in its own context, in its own time, and try to understand what they were saying and why, not via dogmatic views that we have absorbed from modern Christianity, but rather from the context of these people, and undo some of these preconceived ideas, these dogmatic ideas we've absorbed. I think you will benefit much, and it will relieve a lot of the stress and anxiety. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about this. I probably should make a TikTok at some point, but I just know that if I do that, I am putting myself right in the bullseye, and I might get crucified for it. So, there's that. And that's a pun. That was on purpose. I just want you to know that.
Nice job. Dana said, which is funny because this is exactly my experience too. Dana said that was my experience of the Holy Spirit before I developed and I realized what it was. That literally happened to me. There was a time in my life where I was going to Christian church when I was like a young teenager. So I was like probably like 13 to 15, somewhere in there. And then I came back another time to try to find spirit, but ultimately they led me to mediumship. That's where they led me. But I felt when I was there, with all the people, I felt this sense of like the power descend upon me. And I got teary-eyed. I felt so much love. It wasn't because anyone was saying anything. It wasn't because of anything that was happening. I literally was feeling the energy. I was feeling the power of spirit. And I didn't know what it was. And it wasn't until I developed my mediumship and sat in the power and realized I felt this before. I felt this power. I felt this love, this immensity of this before. And it was the same thing. It was the same power. Dana's had the same experience.
I do want to point something out, and this was actually a point that I was going to make earlier, and I'm so glad that Andrea asked it, the career priestess. She said, are people who speak in tongues practicing mediumship, like inspired speaking? Well, actually, speaking in tongues in that 1 Corinthians passage, to me, fits very perfectly with what they're referring to, is actually what we see in really amazing, incredible mediumship. So in really amazing, incredible mediumship, you see people begin to speak in languages they don't know. So a perfect example of this is Helen Hughes. Helen Hughes would go into trance and fluidly speak in tongues. But these aren't just made up tongues like it's not that Lelia thing. I forget what it's called, but if someone knows, they can put it in the chat. But it's not that sort of just gibberish stuff that comes out of the Pentecostals. It's actually speaking in tongues that can be understood. That's the miracle. Just going that's not miraculous. That's just you talking. So that's not the Holy Spirit moving you, in my opinion. When you're truly moved by the Holy Spirit, you can speak in languages you do not know. That's what speaking in tongues is. And then you can understand the language that you do not know. And that's when, what's the second part? It's speaking in tongues and, I closed. Oh, wait, I can just push reopen, close tab. It's speaking tongues and interpretation of tongues, meaning you not only can speak in it, but you can actually understand it. Why would they just have you do shama lama 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 if, like, why would God have you just say random gibberish shit? Like, let's think about that logically. Sorry, I'm getting a little passionate. Why would it be this random gibberish stuff? Would it not be, if the true purpose was to preach the gospel to the nations of all lands, would it not be to learn to be inspired to speak and understand the language of someone else? That's the miracle, my friends. Not this shamalama chikababa thing that like people do. Drives me freaking crazy. Anyway, we see that in mediumship, and I think that's an important distinction to make. So I want to say that. Any people who speak in tongues practicing mediumship? No, I don't think they are, because mediumship requires evidence. It requires accuracy. It requires something to demonstrate intelligence. Going shamalama gugugu is not intelligent. Okay, sorry, getting off my soapbox, putting that over there. Sorry to all my Pentecostal followers and friends out there. Don't mean to.
I'm sure you have a lot.
Yeah, I don't mean to talk shit, but like I'm about to. Okay, I'm about to get crazy. Oh my God, don't get me started. Anyway.
Well, I think that's a good distinction to make as far as like what we teach, right? Evidential mediumship. We teach you how to make a real connection, to bring through real information that's specific, that someone else outside of yourself can validate, so that you know that you're not just making stuff up, right? Like the discernment level that comes through learning what we teach and practicing properly is so that you can understand, what am I actually experiencing that's coming from me? Or what am I actually experiencing that's coming from spirit, and how does it feel when it happens, right? How can I tell when I'm going up here or when I'm getting information from them, right? And so we get that validation piece so that you know, like, oh, yes, this is accurate. Oh, that's not accurate. Oh, part of what you're saying is, but how you're shaping it and interpreting it is not, right? So that's a big part of like the development piece about why it's mediumship versus shamalama lama ding dong stuff. That's not right. Like that's not, if you're going to say spirit's coming through, they know they need to bring through intelligent information to show that it's them. They're not dumb. They're incredibly intelligent. So they're very aware of that. So if someone's saying like, I'm a medium and this is information coming from spirit, but it's not intelligent, you can't understand it, it's not.
Yeah, 100%. What about when people say you're not connecting to spirits, but you're to demons, and who trick you with information? I mean, look, that argument really crumbles really quickly. How do you know that you're actually talking to God, and that it's when you're praying and you're getting inspired with an answer or something, that you're not actually being tricked by something that's making you believe in something that's not true? Right? Like I can just turn that right around and just put it on them. But let's just kind of go down the thought process here for 1 second. If someone is communicating, and actually, honestly, I think the answer to that question from a Christian would be something like, well, it's moving me towards God. You see the fruits of the Spirit. That it's being helpful. It's leading someone in a good direction, all these sorts of things. I think that's what they would do. You'd look to the actions and the outcomes of what occurs to determine whether this was actually valuable or not, or good from some good source. Well, when I look at the mediumship work that I do, when I look at the work that Megan does, I see the people who have been healed and helped through this. You heard from people, if you were here earlier, you heard from all the folks out there saying what an impact learning mediumship has helped them, change their life, improved all kinds of aspects, help them to love themselves, trust in spirit, trust in something bigger than them, make them not atheists anymore. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Mediumship acts as a tool to help you understand yourself and the spirit world, your soul, your being. It's a tool. It's not an answer. It's not the end point. It's a tool that helps you to experience the world in a different way. But I slightly digress. What I think is, if this is a demon, they're doing a really bad job of being a demon. And here's why. They're not causing any harm. They're actually bringing healing. They're helping people who are living here in this world to feel a sense of connection, a sense of love, a connection to their spirit, a recognition that there's something more. They're surrounded in the feeling of love and connection and depth. if that's what demons do versus my experience of many Christians, which is quite the opposite, segregation, judgment, cruelty, all these sorts of things, I think I'll take the demons over the whatever that is, because that's not the Christianity that I believe Jesus was trying to get across. So do I believe in demons? No. My experience has led me to believe that demons do not exist. That is something that is created in our own mind, and it's a useful avenue and tool for creating fear, right? When you can't explain something, let's put it into the box of fear and create something that you have to be watching out for. But like, this is an analogy that I often give when I'm teaching, and on Saturday I will do the same exact one. If we were swimming in a pool, you have two pools. One pool has sharks in it. One pool does not have any sharks in it. If whether I say I believe in sharks or I don't believe in sharks, in the sharks with pool, at some point I'm going to get bitten, right? I'm going to get attacked at some point by the pool that has sharks in it. If I say there are no sharks, I don't believe in sharks, aka demons, right? I don't believe in demons. But at some point I'm going to run into those freaking demons and they're going to fucking do whatever the hell they do. If I'm in this other pool where I say there actually is no sharks in the pool, and I say, oh no, I believe in sharks, I might be afraid the whole time that sharks are going to get me, but I'll never get bitten. Nothing's ever going to happen. I might think, ooh, I felt something, current move under me. That's a shark. Oh no, right? I might have a belief that I'm in danger, but the reality is that I'm not. And I will never get bitten by said shark. My experience of demons and evil spirits and all these sorts of things has been this one, has been the one where I'll even go, all right, demons, come on. All right, evil spirits, come on, show me where you are. I don't experience them. That's never happened. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. We get to decide about what we're going to be afraid of and not afraid of, right? And I think that fear plays a humongous role in our ability to be clear-headed. If we are in a fear-based space, we're going to interpret stimulus as fearful or something bad's happening to me, versus if we meet things in a neutral space, not in this airy-fairy love land, but not in this fear-based other land, if we meet them right in the middle, that's where we're going to start to have true, genuine experience and be able to perceive and understand what is real. So anyway, I'm going to get off my high horse. I've been talking for quite some time. Please speak, Megan.
The AI summary now says debating mediumship versus speaking in tongues. Share your perspective.
I love it.
I think the biggest the spirit world brings through a lot of messages, but I think one of the biggest ones I've learned is that we have things here in the physical we have to be cautious about because things can take us out of this world, right? But like nothing ever can harm your soul, your spirit, nothing. There is no reason to fear of any of that. Like you are a eternal spirit consciousness that literally has lived before and will live after. And there is literally nothing outside of power of spirit that exists. Like we are in that consciousness right now. It's happening within us. And we are perceiving it through what's happening within us in our consciousness, right? We are creating certain things through what we believe to happen, right? So like what we perceive in the sense of not being neutral about it, if we have that shape of fear, everything that happens, I mean, I'm sure you all know people like this. Every little thing that happens is something terrible, something fearful, something that's going to cause anxiety, something that's going to make them, avoid life in general, right? And so you have to understand your belief system plays a huge role in how you interpret experience, right? I'm not saying we don't have things that are harmful that happen to us here, because we do. We have things that are painful. We have things that are uncomfortable. We have challenges. We have things that hurt us physically, right? And emotionally. We have all of that as a part of our experience. But ultimately, nothing will harm you permanently. Your soul will live on and will be totally fine. We carry nothing but our experiences of our love and our memories and our connections with us to the other side. Nothing physical follows us in that way. If you have some kind of ailment to you or some, mental illness, any of that, nothing like that comes with you to spirit. So like, why would you waste your fucking time and energy being afraid of every little fucking, sorry, now I'm a West.
Get on it, baby.
Every little thing.
There's room for two.
Around the corner, right? Like, again, Michael and I have never experienced anything. We don't say that that's not a possibility, right? We're like, literally like, show me. Like, never has happened. The only thing we've ever experienced from the spirit world is love or neutrality, like at least at the very least, right? And support and information. Like, there's never been anything but that. And I think that even if there was something like demons, how we interpret it plays a big role, right? Like, I think that even if there was a force of an energy that had its own role to like have that, again, nothing's going to hurt you. Like, you could acknowledge it as what it is if there was something like that and be like, okay, there's a darkness, there's a heaviness, there's a rascal over there. And what are you doing? Nothing. Like, they have no power. There's nothing. If there was existing, they have nothing has any power of you unless you believe it to be true and activate that in you.
Couldn't agree more.
Anyway.
And I actually just want to highlight, gosh darn it, did it get me? I don't know. It didn't get me on my arm like I thought it did. Sorry, I'm thinking about mosquitoes. One thing I want to just highlight quickly, and this is on the demon subject. Let's talk about a little bit what those demons were, right? Like, I don't know if you guys realize that in the, early Judeo sort of thing, there's evidence to suggest that there was a whole pantheon. And even in the Bible, in Genesis, you'll see that it very much looks like there is a pantheon of gods that were there. And Elohim not Elohim, Yahweh is one of the many gods. And there is evidence to suggest that he even had a female counterpart wife, Asherah. I mean, this is all things that we really need to think about. And why does the Bible, especially the early part of it, really get on this Baal character, right? Who is now apparently a demon? Baal was another god around that same time, a storm deity, just like Yahweh was. It just so happened that Yahweh won out. And so now Baal is painted as some evil sort of thing, but he was a storm deity, just like every other one. So it's like, go beyond your Bible. Go beyond your Bible and look deeper into it. And you're going to see that all these concepts of demons and hells and all these sorts of things that we get from the Judeo-Christian concept is really just repackaged other beliefs. I mean, even the Ten Commandments come from the not the Nag Hammadi, the Hammurabi Code. Like, it's literally just taken and utilized, which came long before the Ten Commandments in the Bible. So you got to look at this stuff critically, and you'll realize that this sort of power that the book apparently holds over you is not necessarily there. Does that mean that we have to throw out Jesus and the baby in the bathwater? Not necessarily. Do we have to throw out the Bible as a spiritual text that I can learn from? No. You can have both, but you can also deal in reality as well. So anyway, Dan McClellan, just go follow Dan McClellan. You'll get something
I
more.
personally think that the reason why we have all the different religions and the different time periods and all the things is very akin to what the Hindu belief is, is that basically there is a greater power, and then that all of the deities are like masks of that power. And like, it's meant to connect with a specific time period and a specific group of people so that they understand that they are spirit, right? And so we have all these different time periods and all these different beliefs and all these different versions of reality of religion, right? But everyone thinks people get involved, and then that's what the problem is I think this is the only way, this is the one religion, the truth and all that, and they don't realize that there's all parts of truth in all of it, and there's also a lot of misinterpretation and a lot of control and a lot of elements of people manipulating things for their own reasons that are involved, right? So, and also too, a lot of texts are mistranslated, right? So they're not coming from the original source of actually how it was said and how it was delivered, and it's been mistranslated into other languages. And also so many books have been removed to try to have a certain narrative. And so that's also a big part of it to consider.
100%. Actually, I love what April said. I feel like the Bible is a derivative of Greek mythology. Actually, the concept, especially in the ideas in the New Testament, are highly influenced by Greek culture. Greek belief systems at the time, Greek philosophy, and the impact that the Greeks had on the the Jewish, that time period. And so things like an eternal hellfire and like punishment at the end of time actually comes out of the time period where Jews were being persecuted, where they were worried, Jews and Christians, but like they were worried about like the emperor and the Roman society and how much they didn't agree with it. And that actually pushed a lot of these narratives, including this idea of retribution. Before it was just Sheol. That was where everybody went. It was when you died, the Jewish, it was neutral. Yeah. There was just this sort of dark, sort of gray place that just everybody went to. And it wasn't until this time period where things were, the Greek society or the Roman society as well, kind of impacting the belief systems about retribution in the afterlife, that they wanted to see that there would be some sort of scale pushed in one way or another. So again, look at Dan McClellan. He's amazing, but that's where you're going to learn a lot about these things. So it's funny that you say it's a derivative of Greek mythology. Yeah. Literally, Tartarus is an influence in what created hell, right? And that's concepts of Tartarus and all of that sort of thing. So, yeah.
I do want to highlight something because I know we're talking specifically about religions. When we do mediumship, we have to take all of the things that have to do with us personally, including our religion, if you have one, or your belief system in general, the things that you shape things through generally. We have to learn how to put that to the side, right? So when we do mediumship, or anyone does mediumship, whether you identify as a Christian medium, a Catholic medium, any kind of medium, and any sort of even a spiritualist medium, there's certain things that sometimes you have to learn. We teach neutrality, right? It's really important that you as a medium learn how to set yourself aside. So we talk about stepping aside from your ego to be able to perceive clearly from spirit and only give what they're giving without shaping it through you. Right? Because that then skews it into a personal perspective instead of just what spirit's giving.
Ms. Eng asks, is there a ton of religious talk in foundations courses?
No.
Zero. I don't think we actually talk about that. I think
that's why I specified that. Yeah, because I was like, I think we're gonna.
Yeah, I think the most we ever talk about anything religious is only in the example of I will sometimes
Christians that come in.
Yes, when there's an instance where people have those beliefs, because a lot of times they do carry those. So we will address those day one, the fears around that. We will talk very briefly about anything to do with sort of Christianity. I often tell people, if you have concerns, you can always come talk to me privately, because we have a lot to get through on that day. So we cannot spend time doing that. So no, we don't really talk about.
We basically just focus on why you don't need to fear the spirit world, or why you don't need to fear anything to do with connecting with spirit. And for some people, that's shaped with they have a fear because of Christianity, right? And what they've been taught about that. And so and demons, right? And so we try to help just kind of take that fear away. It's really unnecessary. It gets in your way. It's, like all of that. So we kind of get into the nitty gritty with just like helping people get on the same page with that.
100%. Very good.
I'm fading.
I was just about to say the same thing. I was literally like, so we should probably wrap this up is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Well, okay. Maybe we can, do you have time at all tomorrow to come back and do readings with me?
Sure.
Okay. As we had intended to do that, but we kind of went on a different train.
We went on this.
I think it was needed.
Yeah, I think it was an excellent conversation. I feel like a lot of people will benefit from this conversation. So I'm glad that we did that. Yes, we're both in OC, and no, we don't have to protect ourselves when we do mediumship. But tomorrow we can come back on and we'll do readings then. So that way, so if you're not following Megan or myself, please do so. That way you can know when we get on tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll have very little talk and then lots more message. So
yes, we will do that. So come back tomorrow, and hopefully even more people come, and we'll see who we end up connecting for and with. And we never know. That's the whole point of mediumship. You never know, and you just see what happens when it happens. But thank you all for being here. Again, we're just going to say Foundations 1 starts this Saturday, July the 11th at 10 a.m. If you're interested and curious at all to see if you can connect with spirit, which we know you can because there's never been a student that can't, that you want to be able to have that experience for yourself. And even if you don't want to be a professional psychic medium or doing this work for other people, that's totally fine. That's a totally valid perspective, and to have that kind of experience. So if you want to, go to oakbridgeinstitute.org and go to Foundations 1, and you can register there right now if you want to. Our classes are small. They are not big classes. We make sure that there's a limit because we want to give you guys personal attention, and you have both myself and Michael to make sure that we're looking in on when you're working and that we're not critiquing, we are helping you. We are literally holding your hand and helping you through that, and helping to point you in the right direction with all of it. Also too, we have a psychic course that starts July 22nd, which is actually 22 weeks long and is really, really fun. And we explore all different kinds of parts of psychism, and you will also come through a very strong foundation with that too. We don't call it foundations, but it has a foundation in it, just like Foundations for Mediumship does as well. But you can look at all of that and register all of that at oakbridgeinstitute.org. And then also too, if you are someone that is like, I would love to do this, but I really just can't afford it, please shoot us an email. You can do it through the contact form there on Oakbridge, and we can see what we can work out. There's payment plans, and see if we can give you some kind of a discount or something like that, because we really don't want money to be something that stands in your way if this is something you really feel pulled to do and that you're really interested in, that you feel a calling to.
100%. And so, yes, we do payment plans. We offer monthly. We can also edit those to make them a little bit longer if that's easier for you. So yeah, we do our best to try to accommodate you. Obviously, we can't give it all away for free, but we will do our best to give you something off. And there's room for discussing what that looks like. So
thank you guys for being here. Thank you to our students for all of the beautiful things that you guys said. And we just really love you guys. And we're excited to come back and do readings tomorrow.
Yep. So if you like this, it's the same bat channel, same bat time. We would love to see you. So thank you everybody for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye. Good night. Take care of yourselves and everyone else.